You know that feeling. Trying to keep up with tech news is like drinking from a fire hose, right?
Oh, absolutely. Constant updates, new tools, it's a lot.
Exactly. It feels overwhelming sometimes. So, for this deep dive, we're trying something. We've grabbed the April 18th, 2025 edition of Random Technical News You Can Possibly Use.
Andrew Tagan's newsletter, right? Good stuff in there. Usually covers a lot of ground.
Yeah, tons. Mostly Microsoft-centric, but some wider industry things too. And our mission basically is to sift through it for you.
Pull out the highlights, the stuff that might actually be, well, useful.
Precisely. The key updates without getting bogged down. A quick briefing on what's worth knowing right now.
Sounds good. And it really does cover a spectrum: Azure, Microsoft 365, Power Platform, AI, security, the works.
So let's dive in. Azure first. I saw there was an Azure update video just before this newsletter around April 11th. Maybe a good visual recap for people.
All right, those videos are usually handy.
But in the newsletter itself, hosting remote MCP servers in Azure App Service caught my eye. If you manage those, what's the real benefit here?
Well, it could be about simplification, moving that kind of workload to App Service, Azure's PaaS offering.
Means less infrastructure management, more focus on the actual service.
Exactly. Scalability, potentially easier management, less worrying about the underlying servers, more about what they do.
Makes sense. And sticking with Azure infrastructure, there were updates to Azure files. Mentioned improvements in performance, control, and value.
Ah, yes, the trifecta. Always good to hear.
Right. So what's the real story there? Better speed, more knobs to turn.
Probably all of the above. Better performance means faster access, obviously. More control likely means finer-grained permissions or policies.
And value could mean cost savings or just, more bang for your buck.
Precisely. These are core things for anyone using cloud file storage, so improvements there are always welcome.
Okay, now this one feels pretty significant. GPT 4.1 coming to Azure AI Foundry and GitHub Devs.
Yeah, that's a big step. The latest model getting integrated deeper into the developer workflow.
How does that actually change things for developers, do you think? Is it just faster coding or something more?
It could be more fundamental. I mean, imagine describing what you need and having the AI generate decent starting code, or getting much smarter suggestions as you type.
Frees you up for the bigger picture stuff. Architecture, complex problems.
Potentially, yes. It accelerates the routine parts, hopefully letting developers focus on higher-level design. Still early days, but that's the promise.
Got it. Also in Azure, email telemetry in Azure Communication Services, what kind of insights does that give you?
Basically, better visibility into your email sending. Are your emails getting delivered? Are people opening them, clicking links?
So deliverability and engagement metrics, crucial if you rely on email communication.
Absolutely. Helps you see if things are working and troubleshoot if they're not.
And the last Azure item here, O3 and O4 Mini, agentic AI in Azure AI Foundry. Okay, agentic AI, what are we talking about?
That's the idea of AI moving beyond just answering questions or generating text. It's about AI agents that can sort of perceive, decide, and act to achieve goals. More autonomous.
Interesting. So O3 and O4 Mini are specific models or tools for building these agents in Azure.
That's likely what they are. Frameworks or models within the AI Foundry to enable developers to create these more proactive AI systems. It's definitely an emerging area to watch.
Okay, let's switch gears. Microsoft 365. Big one here. ActiveX disabled by default.
Yes, finally. That's a huge security plus.
It's been a headache for years, right? So why is this default change so important?
ActiveX controls were just notorious entry points for malware. Turning them off by default massively reduces the attack surface for M365 users.
Might break some really old internal apps, maybe?
Possibly, but it strongly encourages moving to safer, more modern web standards. A necessary push.
Also saw a new maturity model for Microsoft 365 video for April. It sounds like a way for organizations to gauge how well they're using M365.
Exactly. These models give you a framework. Where are we now? Where could we be better? It helps assess adoption, find gaps, and, get more value out of the platform.
Kind of like a roadmap for improvement.
Precisely. Helps you chart a course.
And speaking of adoption, the AI adoption score is now generally available.
Ah, that's timely. With Copilot and other AI features rolling out.
Right. It's one thing to have the tools, another to know if they're actually being used effectively. How does this score help?
It gives organizations actual data. Who's using which AI features? Where is adoption lagging? It helps understand the impact and tailor training or strategy to, boost that adoption.
Makes sense. You need the metrics. And for the security folks, a video on 7 critical M365 security and compliance updates sounds like required viewing.
Definitely. The threat landscape, compliance rules, they change constantly. Staying on top of M365 security updates isn't optional, it's critical. These likely cover new vulnerabilities or features you need to know about.
Okay, good reminders there. Let's move over to Power Platform and Dynamics 365. First up, transactions in Power FX functions.
Ooh, interesting. PowerFX getting more sophisticated.
So what's the benefit? If you're building Power Apps, what does this unlock?
It's about data integrity, really. Transactions let you bundle actions together. Either everything succeeds or everything fails and rolls back.
So you don't get partial updates that mess up your data. Like transferring money, you debit one account and decredit the other, not just one.
Exactly that kind of scenario. Crucial for more complex, business-critical apps built on the platform.
Makes sense. For Power Pages builders, there's a new Actions pane in VS Code Desktop.
Nice. Bringing more Power Pages functionality right into the familiar VS Code environment.
So better workflow for developers already using VS Code. Quicker access to common tasks.
Yeah. Less jumping between tools, more streamlined development. Should improve productivity for web builders using Power Pages.
Now this feels like a big strategy shift. The transition from Power BI to Microsoft Fabric. There's video on it.
It is a big one. Fabric isn't just Power BI renamed, it's Microsoft unifying a whole bunch of data services.
So like data warehousing, data lakes, integration, BI, all under one umbrella.
That's the idea, a single integrated platform for end-to-end analytics. It aims to simplify the data landscape for organizations.
Interesting. So Power BI becomes a part of this larger Fabric thing.
Essentially, yes. It's the visualization and BI experience within Fabric.
Okay. But Power BI itself is still evolving. New mapping and location analytics. What can you do with that?
Richer maps, basically. If your data has location info, customer addresses, store locations, sensor data, these updates let you visualize and analyze it spatially. Find geographic trends, patterns.
Cool. Useful for logistics, retail, lots of areas.
Definitely. Geospatial insights are powerful.
For the Copilot Studio users, there was an AMA session mentioned. Ask me anything.
Yeah, those AMAs are bold. Direct access to the product team.
Good place to get specific questions answered, learn best practices, hear what's coming next.
Exactly. If you're deep into Copilot Studio, tuning into those is usually time well spent.
And one more for Copilot Studio. Computer use for UI automation. What does that mean?
It sounds like extending automation capabilities to desktop applications, using Copilot Studio to drive actions within locally installed software via its user interface.
Oh, okay. So you could automate a workflow that involves both, say, a web service and an old desktop app.
That seems to be the implication. It could really broaden the scope of automation possibilities beyond just cloud or web apps.
Right. Interesting potential there. Okay, let's jump to DevOps, SRE, and infrastructure. First, this protocol-agnostic framework, GLAND. Sounds flexible.
Yeah, the idea of being protocol agnostic means you can build network applications without being tied rigidly to one specific communication protocol like TCP or UDP or HTTP.
So the app logic is separate from how it talks over the network, more adaptable.
That's the goal. More reusable code, easier to adapt if network requirements change, flexibility for developers.
And AI keeps marching into the dev tools, VS Code agent mode, and GitHub Copilot agent mode for apps.
More AI assistance right in the editor and version control. We talked about GPT 4.1 earlier. This seems like the practical application of that kind of power.
So even more proactive suggestions, maybe automating more complex tasks right within VS Code or GitHub.
That's likely the direction. An AI pair programmer that's even more deeply integrated, aiming to boost productivity and code quality.
Then there's an article on building a self-service DevOps platform or platform engineering. Why is this getting traction?
It's about empowering developers. Instead of waiting for a central ops team, platform engineering provides internal tools and paved paths so dev teams can manage their own infrastructure, testing, deployment more autonomously.
Faster cycles, happier developers.
That's the hope. Streamlines the whole software delivery process.
And finally here, containers coming to Cloudflare workers. Running containers at the edge.
Yeah, that's a significant expansion for Cloudflare. Workers were traditionally for lightweight JavaScript code. Adding container support means you can deploy much more complex, stateful applications on their global edge network.
Lower latency for more types of apps, potentially.
Exactly. Run more complex logic closer to the user.
Okay, data analytics and AI. Busy section. First, 10 new books in data science from Gleason Gleanings. Always good to have reading lists.
Absolutely. That field moves so fast. Staying current is key. A curated list points you towards what's new and relevant.
Then there's DSPy. An open-source framework for LLM-powered apps.
Open source is always interesting. Frameworks like DSPy aim to make it easier for developers to actually build applications using large language models. Provides tools, abstractions, lowers the barrier to entry.
Encourages more experimentation in building with LLMs.
Right. Fosters innovation in the community.
And on the practical side, a guide. Build scalable LLM apps with Kubernetes. Why Kubernetes for LLM?
Because LLMs are resource-hungry beasts. Deploying them at scale needs serious infrastructure management. Kubernetes is the standard for orchestrating containers, handling scaling, resilience. It's pretty essential for running production-grade LLM services reliably.
Got it. And circling back to agentic AI, we see MS365 Copilot agent debugging. Why is debugging these agents becoming important?
Well, as these AI agents get more autonomous, figuring out why they did something, especially if it's unexpected, becomes critical. You need tools to trace their thinking and fix issues. It's crucial for building trust and reliability.
Yeah, you can't just have black boxes making decisions everywhere.
Exactly. Debugging is key for responsible AI development.
Okay, let's talk security, compliance, and privacy. Always crucial. An article on the complexities of cloud security, the key takeaway.
Shared responsibility. The cloud provider secures the infrastructure, but you are responsible for securing your data and applications in the cloud. Configuration, access control, monitoring. That's on you.
Right, it's not just move to cloud, security solved.
Definitely not. You have to actively manage it.
And a clarification. Why data privacy isn't the same as data security? What's the core difference we should remember?
Security is about protection preventing unauthorized access, like building fences. Privacy is about rights, how personal data is collected, used, stored, consented to. Related but distinct concepts, both vital.
Good distinction. For developers, scanning for credentials in code and push protection. Why is this so critical?
Because accidentally committing API keys or passwords into code repositories happens, and it's a massive security hole if that code gets exposed. These tools act as a safety net to catch those mistakes before they become breaches.
Makes sense. Essential hygiene. Then there's a tool called FING, described as a must-have for network protection. Strong words.
FING is a network scanner. It helps you see everything connected to your network, identify devices, maybe spot intruders, find vulnerabilities. Its popularity probably comes from being comprehensive and easy to use for gaining that network visibility.
Okay. Shifting to leadership, an article on what boards want from cybersecurity leaders.
Yeah. Boards are increasingly focused on cyber risk. Leaders need to speak their language, talk about business impact, risk reduction, compliance, not just technical jargon. It's about aligning security with business objectives.
Got it. Then there's Cable, a post-exploitation toolkit for Active Directory reconnaissance. Sounds like something to the red team or incident responders.
Exactly. After a potential breach or during a penetration test, tools like Cable help map out Active Directory to understand how an attacker might move laterally or escalate privileges. It's for assessing the extent of compromise or finding weaknesses.
Microsoft Defender gets a new trick, isolating undiscovered endpoints. Proactive defense.
Very proactive. If a device starts acting suspiciously, even if the specific malware isn't identified yet, Defender can isolate it from the network to prevent spread. It helps contain potential zero-day attacks.
Nice. And with custom AI apps growing, there's a video on securing them with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. AI needs special security attention.
Yes, AI introduces unique risks. Model vulnerabilities, data poisoning, adversarial attacks. Securing the AI pipeline and the models themselves requires specific approaches, which Defender for Cloud is starting to address.
Okay, good to know. Let's look at learning and certifications. The Microsoft Power Up program is mentioned.
These are Microsoft's structured learning initiatives. The Power Up program likely offers paths, labs, and resources specifically for skilling up on the Power Platform. Good for hands-on learning.
And for cutting-edge topics, videos on train your own LLM and quantum computing for everyone, making complex stuff accessible.
That's the goal. Demystifying these advanced fields helps broaden understanding and maybe inspires people to dive deeper. Foundational knowledge is key.
For those already using M365 Copilot, power user tips, always useful.
Yeah, finding those shortcuts, advanced techniques, it can really boost how effectively you use a tool like Copilot day to day. Squeeze more productivity out of it.
And resources on understanding prompt engineering and hidden OneNote features. Prompting is key for AI, and OneNote tricks are always handy.
Absolutely. Prompt engineering is becoming a core skill for interacting with AI. And who knows what useful OneNote feature you might discover. Small efficiency gains add up.
Thinking careers, the top 10 IT certifications in demand for 2025, worth looking at.
For sure. Certs can validate skills and boost marketability. Knowing which ones employers are looking for helps guide professional development and focus your learning efforts.
Microsoft is also pushing skilling for its security tools. Copilot for security with Logic Apps, and an Ignite 2024 update.
Makes sense. These tools are powerful but complex. Specific training helps security pros leverage them effectively. And Ignite updates often introduce new features needing explanation.
And an Azure Databricks skilling webinar. Good for data folks on Azure.
Yeah, webinars offer interactive learning demos, Q&A, good for getting up to speed on a platform like Databricks.
All right, last section. Industry news and trends. Opera's got an AI browser operator. AI in browsers becoming standard.
Seems like it. Browsers adding AI for smarter search, summarization, rating help. It's about making the browsing experience more intelligent and useful, part of a wider trend.
There's a list of the top 10 AI cloud platforms of 2025. Useful for comparison.
Definitely. Helps businesses see who the major players are, what they offer, and maybe guides their platform choices based on features, maturity, or cost.
Adobe's working on AI agents for Photoshop and Premiere Pro. Big impact for creatives.
Potentially huge. Automating tedious tasks, suggesting creative options, assisting with complex edits, could really change creative workflows, freeing up artists for the core vision.
On the security infrastructure side, Entrust announced a unified cryptographic security platform. Why unify crypto?
Managing keys, certificates, different crypto tools, it gets complicated. A unified platform aims to simplify that, ensure consistency, reduce risk, and make robust cryptography easier to manage.
We get a peek inside Isomorphic Labs, Google DeepMind spinoff using AI for drug discovery.
Fascinating stuff. Shows the potential of AI to tackle really complex scientific problems. Watching labs like this gives a glimpse into future breakthroughs.
For VDI folks, updates in Nerdio for Windows 365 and Cloud Desktop. What do users want there?
Better performance, simpler management, tighter security, cost optimization. Nerdio helps manage those virtual desktop environments, so updates likely target those areas.
There's help for newbies. Which cloud platform is best for beginners? What should they look for?
Ease of use, good documentation, clear pricing, strong support, maybe a generous free tier. Comparing AWS, Azure, GCP on those points helps beginners get started.
And the world's first agentic AI web browser is being tested. What could that do?
Go way beyond displaying pages, maybe autonomously research topics across multiple sites, fill forms, compare products, summarize findings, acting as your personal web agent. Transformative if it works well.
Microsoft announced a hyper-efficient AI model runs on CPUs. Big deal for accessibility.
Potentially, yes. Running AI well on standard CPUs, not just expensive GPUs, could lower costs and allow AI on more devices, making it more widely available.
Brookhaven Lab, being considered for AI infrastructure, shows the massive compute needs, right?
Totally. Underscores that cutting-edge AI requires huge resources, highlighting the strategic importance of large-scale computing infrastructure.
We see Deep Cogito, new open-source AI models, more open-source goodness.
Yeah, continued open source releases fuel innovation, let more people experiment and build, and prevent AI tech from being locked up by just a few players. Good for the whole ecosystem.
And finally, University of Maryland launching a Quantum Institute for National Security. Why the national security angle for quantum?
Quantum computing could potentially break current encryption methods, so nations are investing heavily in both developing quantum capabilities and creating quantum-resistant cryptography. It has major defense and intelligence implications.
Wow. Okay, that was definitely a whirlwind tour through Andrew Kagan's newsletter. Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, from Azure specifics right through to quantum computing trends. Hopefully pulling out these key points provides some useful context.
Our goal was really just that giving you a clearer picture, some actionable insights without the fire hose effect. We definitely encourage checking out the original newsletter if something specific caught your ear.
Absolutely. The links are always valuable for digging deeper.
So to wrap up, here's a thought to leave you with. Considering all these rapid changes we just talked about, AI, cloud, security, all of it, what's the one development you think will have the biggest impact on your work, or maybe even your life, in the next year or so?
That's a tough one. Lots to choose from.
Definitely something to chew on. It's a fast-moving world out there. Stay informed.